Over and out. Foxtrot uniform. Nope. Can't say that. Can't say that. What's going on, people? My name is Austin Hamilton, also known as the Porn Coach, Coach of Porn. How's it going? It's been a few days. It's been a week. Where are my people out there? Where are the regulars at? Trina, Danielle, who else? Christopher Rice, 22. What's up, Christopher? How you doing? Good to see you. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. You're doing great. Great. I love that you're doing great. Ice cold Wawa. I haven't seen you for a while. Too long. I know. Look, I feel like on one hand I need to apologize. On the other hand, I don't need to apologize. But yeah, this is only my third live in 2 weeks. I've only been going live on Tuesday nights. So Tuesday the 29th, the 6th, and now tonight. But hey, it's not a contest. We'll see what TikTok thinks, though, because there's only 11 people here. Did I ruin it? Did I screw it up? Is my show over? I don't think so. Hey there, what's going on?
I'm not in a hurry today. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Is porn cheating?
No.
No, it's not. Okay. Tell me more.
Give me 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Give me 1 second, okay? 1 second.
Yeah, I got you. We'll wait. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll wait. We got all the time in the world to wait for you. I think it depends on relationship. If I'm in a relationship, I don't watch it just because I don't want to be disrespectful. That makes sense. That's good. Well, while we're waiting for this guest, let me read something. Porn equals less sex. The more you use porn, the more it adversely affects your sex life. Research has actually shown that the best way to have less sex and less satisfying sex is to watch porn. Say it again. Research has shown that the best way to have less sex and less satisfying sex is to watch porn. Porn simultaneously overloads you with sexual stimulation while also teaching you to only consider your own sexual desires. Porn is so appealing not merely because it is erotic, but also because it lets you create a world where nothing is required of you. Real sex asks you to know and develop your desires, while also learning to study, delight, and call forth the desires of another. Therefore, if you want to limit your sexual potential, porn is the fastest route to do so. Anyways, hey there, what's going on, man? Are you there, Mo? Mo. Things are unzipping. Mo? 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 Oh, things are zipping back up. Mo, you there? All right, Mo, I'm kicking you off. Kicking you off, Mo.
I'm
All
back.
right. Oh, right when I clicked the button, he said he's back. Mo. You want to come back, Mo? Do not disturb. That was funny. Okay. Welcome, everybody. My name is Austin Hamilton, also known as the Porn Coach. I'm a coach. I help people who are struggling with unwanted sexual behavior, such as pornography or sex addiction, to break free from that, as well as people who have been betrayed by pornography or some sort of infidelity. I'm a coach. I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching. And I have a link in my bio if you want to schedule a call with me to learn more about what I offer as a pathway potentially into your healing journey. And you can get information on that. I want to read a comment here that somebody left me. I'm going to anonymize this because it's not public. I got a message from somebody who I'm working with. I'm pretty shocked at how emotional this experience has been for my partner. He's really hard to break, quote unquote. So I'm shocked. I think I've only seen him emotional a few times in our almost 2 decades of marriage together. This journey, we think porn's a problem. Porn isn't the problem. It's how we relate to our emotions, how we relate to our feelings. Porn and sex addiction is not a porn and sex problem. It's a how you deal with life problem. All right, Mo's back. We'll bring you back on, Mo. What's up, Mo?
Not much. How are you today?
I'm doing good, thanks. So what's going on?
Not much. Just relaxing.
What was that?
Relaxing.
Oh, you're relaxing.
Tired.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, relaxing.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
porn cheating?
Not really.
Okay. Do you watch porn?
Not really. No.
Okay. Got it.
Do you,
Why
do you watch it?
I don't watch porn, no. No. Why do you think it's not cheating to masturbate while watching a stranger have sex if you're in a relationship?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Then why did you come on here to talk?
I'm bored.
You're bored. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Bye-bye. Porn equals less sex. I just read that one. Porn equals less purpose. In Jay Stringer's research from the book Unwanted, he found that when a person lacked a clear sense of purpose, they were 7 times more likely to increase the amount of porn they watched. It's crucial to understand that a lack of purpose drives us to porn. Many people attempt to stop using porn, but do little to transform what drives them to it. If it weren't for pornography, how else would you address your fear of whatever you're afraid of? The economy crashing, a relationship being on the rocks. If not for porn, how else would you address the conflict that you're facing as you spend more time with your spouse? Porn invites you to escape the crucibles of your life, but when you take its bait, you find yourself hooked into an even greater experience of futility. This is the madness of porn use. The very thing we chose to assuage personal and relational problems ends up intensifying them. At this juncture, many people try to fight against their desire for porn through contempt or self-mastery. The problem is that this fight does nothing to transform the key drivers that bring you to porn. Therefore, if you want to fight, don't fight to eliminate porn. Fight to create daily rhythms to find calm and greater purpose. When you have integrity with your anxiety, your clarity and confidence will grow in your capacity to face the uncertainty ahead. Someone asked, what book is this? This isn't a book. I'm reading an article, but it's by the author of Unwanted, Jay Stringer. How Sexual Brokenness Reveals Our Way to Healing. It's a great book. Only if you want to improve your sexual experience and your life by exploring your sexual story. If you don't want that, it's a terrible book. But if you do, then it's a good book. All right. We got some guests here. I'll bring on a guest here in just a second. Snap Deals, what's up? Trina, what's up? Cowboy Bunny Beep, what's up? Guys, it's been a minute. It's been a week. I've only done one live a week for the last couple of weeks. And honestly, I needed to catch up on sleep. We were gone for the weekend. My kitchen flooded. But it's no problem because I can do hard things. Right? Right, Cowboy Bunny Beep? No problem. The kitchen flooded. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Oh, okay. No problem at all. No problem here. I just found you interesting conversation. Great. Well, let's have the conversation. It was like a mini flood. It was like if you know the Bible, the argument between local flood and global flood, it was a local flood. It wasn't a global flood, just a local flood. Just to like the oven, stove, island area. Local flood. That was a great analogy for any of you who got that. All right. What's your thoughts on the hub, even if not in a relationship? I'd love to answer that, but I'm going to talk to Gabby. Hi, Gabby. How's it going? Hello. Nope. Not going to talk to Gabby. Gabby, was that an accident? It's okay. It happens all the time. Some people even snore on my lives. Stick around. Snorers are the best. W's in the chat for the snorers. We love them. So what are my thoughts on the hub? Even not in a relationship. Well, the question you have to ask yourself is, what are your thoughts on objectifying and dehumanizing other people? What are your thoughts on that? Do you enjoy that? Do you enjoy objectifying and dehumanizing other people and creating disconnection in your relationships? If that's something you enjoy, well, porn damages sex and mental health. Oscar Aguilar, what's up, man? Good to see you. How are you, man? I'm doing good. Porn damages sex and mental health. When you pursue porn as a shortcut to reduce anxiety, your brain forms new neural pathways to connect what you're doing to the pleasure you're feeling. A map of these experiences is formed in your brain, complete with powerful neurotransmitters like dopamine. They change your brain by essentially saying, remember this feels amazing. And it's way easier than anything else. However, porn equals less sex. I'll read it again. I read this when I got on, but I'll read it again. The more you use porn, the more it adversely affects your sex life. Research has shown that the best way to have less sex and less satisfying sex is to watch porn. I love that, Oscar. Way to go, man. Porn simultaneously overloads you with sexual stimulation while also teaching you to only consider your own sexual desires. Porn is so appealing not merely because it is erotic, but also because it lets you create a world where nothing is required of you. Real sex asks you to know and develop your desires, while also learning to study, delight, and call forth the desires of another. Therefore, if you want to limit your sexual potential, porn is the fastest route to do so. That comes from the study, Pornography's Effects on Interpersonal Relationships. All right, let's take another guest. Hey there, what's going on?
Hi. So
Hi, are you 18 or over?
yeah, I'm 21
Okay.
and I have a few questions for you. That's just a childhood picture. That is
No, I
not
got it. Yeah, no
me
problem.
currently. So how do you address going as being the other partner in this situation as to my partner watches porn and rebuilding trust with that? I've clearly stated boundaries, and that is clearly a no-go for me, and I stand very firm in it, and that if it happened again, that it would be the end of it. But moving forward, I just don't know how to rebuild that trust, and that was the only problem like we've had up to date. And so, what is your advice on that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm sorry you're in that situation. It's a tough situation. How long have you known about your partner's porn use?
So we're going on 3 years of being together, and I found out a little over a year into our relationship, last year actually, in October, and stated my boundaries and said that it would be cut off, and then found in December some stuff that was hidden through Reddit. It was very disturbing. And I talked about it recently when I found stuff back in December. I think this was April last month, and confronted him about it. And then now we're on a cycle of you're going to stop or I'm not going to be with you. So up to date, I'd say it's still pretty recent.
Okay. So for almost a year, or at least 7, 8 months, you found it. He said he was going to stop it. He didn't. He hit it. You found it again. And this has happened a handful of times.
Right.
Okay. And you're wondering, what do you do with this? How do you rebuild trust? Well, unfortunately, I don't know that trust can be rebuilt in that situation when behavior isn't changing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right. It's manipulation if it happens again, right?
Yeah. And so you're trying to trust something, but the behavior, you're not having any evidence to trust something different.
Absolutely.
So that's hard. So there's a story for him, and this is in no way excusing his behavior, but every man that watches pornography, there's a story that's dying to be told about why he is turning to pornography. I don't know what that story is. I'm not talking to him right now. I'm talking to you, but I just want to put that out there because this has nothing to do with you. It's not about how you look, how you don't look, what you do, what you don't do, what you are. This is him in a sickness, we'll say, that he is just going to pornography in your relationship. Okay, so separating those things out is super important for your healing journey. Okay, are you hearing me in that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Then the question is, and I don't say this lightly because I get that it's way harder in practice, but why are you putting up with this? Why are you tolerating the behavior that he continues to show you?
I really don't know. Obviously I love him, and we have a wonderful relationship, but when it comes to the aspect of sex and sexual desires, it is a struggle. I feel like to begin with, he's made sex such a totem in our relationship, and so I thought that I always needed to give to him, and so because I gave to him so much, I didn't understand why he needed to reach out other places to receive it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you were providing it to him, but he was still going outside to receive
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It must be painful when you experience that.
It's hard, for sure.
Yeah. Well, there's a notion, a saying that people, men in this case, eroticize their wounds sexually. So there's pain, there's wounding that's going on for him, and he's wanting a short-term fix to feel better. Hey, if I just have sex, if I just get off, whatever that is for him, everything will be better. But the problem is they're not addressing the underlying wound. Okay, so part of this for you is understanding what's actually going on there. Now, I don't know him. I've never talked to him, so maybe this doesn't land for him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something beneath the surface going on for him. But again, the question for you, you've been betrayed multiple times. You probably made a vow or a commitment to yourself. If it happens again, I will leave him, and you haven't.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the thing recently I have been thinking about this past week or two, just because it's still been on my mind, is that even if I did find out that he was still watching something, I don't know if I would have the guts to leave him. So it's like I'm questioning if I even want to know.
Yeah, exactly. That's called betrayal blindness. It's like I'm just going to stay blind to it because if I know it's going to be too painful, but I can tolerate the level of discomfort right now because it's familiar to me, but I don't know that I can handle what might come. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So, what do you do with that? What are you wanting to do? What are you wanting to be different?
I don't want that to be a third party in our relationship, because I truly see him as someone I could marry and build a life with. But, with this, it really makes me question. And so, I believe when something comes up, he really does make an effort to change or fix something for the betterment of our relationship. But with this, it's him saying that he will change. But it's like right now I'm waiting. I'm kind of in like a weird middle ground of waiting to see if that change is actually going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Is he there right now? Can we get him on?
He is not. I'm not with him currently.
Okay. All right. So what do you do? What do you do? There's a fear there. You're afraid of what? Your inaction indicates that there's a fear.
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
I don't know. I feel like it makes me a very insecure person. I feel like after finding out about his use and stuff, it's made me very controlling and kind of not the person that I usually am. I feel like I've become super uptight and anxious, more anxious than usual, and it's definitely taken a bigger toll on me. And so I don't think he still sees how big of an issue that really is for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, first of all, that's totally normal. That's your body crying out, saying it shouldn't be this way. I want it to be different. It shouldn't be this way. And your body's giving you all these signs that a violation has occurred.
Mhm.
So, how can you listen? If you were to listen to your body, what would your body be telling you?
My body and my mind are telling me to run for the hills. I'm in a constant state of fight or flight, on the edge. So,
Your body is telling you to run for the hills, and you're in a constant state of fight or flight because your body's trying to protect you, which is good. Your body's
because
doing its job.
I'm like, I've been here before. I've felt the hurt, and I just feel like it's going to be a cycle again. I'm scared of it happening again.
When's the first time you remember feeling that?
The beginning of our relationship started out pretty rocky, but I kind of stuck it out because that's just the type of person I am. I don't leave when things get tough. But there has been little cracks in the relationship from the start, and that's made it difficult. But that also sometimes I sit back and I'm like, that's why we have such a strong relationship, type of thing. I don't, but
So from the get-go, there were signs, there were things that happened that you were like, okay, this doesn't look right, and there have been little cracks along the way that have got you to this point. And you're exactly right. Like, these cracks make us stronger in relationships. However, you still have a big B betrayal that is still there and hasn't been dealt with.
right.
Right? And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. What decision do you think you need to make regarding this relationship?
I think that moving forward, it really is just a test for him. But I do have this deep uneasiness that I know it will happen again. And I feel like I'm kind of just sitting on the edge of my seat, waiting for that to happen, to like take the bait and go type of thing. I don't know really how to explain it. because I do trust and believe his word when he says he'll do something or change something. And he knows how to prove himself to me, but with this, it just feels a little different.
Yeah. So, can I ask you how old he is?
He's 22.
Okay. So you guys are about the same age.
Hmm.
Does he want to stop watching pornography?
He has said that to me, and the things that he says to me, because it is a recent subject that we've been talking about, he says how he wants to stop. He wants to honor me, and that he wants to put me first, and that he understands my feelings on the topic, and so I believe him when he says that.
Okay. What evidence would suggest he's actually working towards stopping? What is he doing to actually stop?
Well, he has told me that when he starts to feel temptations coming on, that he'll occupy himself with something. He's gotten back into the gym, and he says that that's been helping him kind of just, I don't know, take up some of his free time. And so, and he is very busy, and so I just sometimes can't wrap my head around like when he would do that, you know?
Yeah. So he's doing a few things to modify his behavior,
Yeah.
which is good and useful. However, you're not going to behavior modify your way out of this. You got to figure
Right.
out the deeper story into what got you here and heal through that in community. The opposite of addiction, and I'm not saying he's addicted, maybe he is, I don't know, I've never talked to him, but the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection with other people. Who else in his life knows that he is having this issue?
Nobody. Like
Nobody.
everything that's happened has just been under the rug, like covered up, moved on.
Yeah.
And he is very masculine and not really expressing emotions and reaching out for help, and like even just talking through things. I've been very open with this subject with him, and I have said multiple times, like, if this happens or you feel the inclination to do so, come to me. Like, I want to be there to help him, but it's also, he hasn't came to me for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so nobody in his life knows about it. Look,
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but the odds of him never going back to pornography, as long as nobody else knows about it, is basically 0%.
Oh.
Like, it is 0%.
So then,
0.0001%. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection with other people. Because here's the thing, porn and sex addiction is not a porn and sex problem, it's a how you deal with life problem. So he has issues going on in his life, and one of his coping strategies is to go look at pornography. Okay, he's got to get to the underlying issues, which deserve to be explored. Again, I'm not talking to him, I'm talking to you.
mm-hmm.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can't make him change. He's telling you, I want to change. Words are pretty much nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We are what we do, not what we say we're going to do. That's why I asked, what evidence is there? You want to see what's important to somebody? See how much time and money they spend on something. That'll tell you what's important to them. So what do you do, right? The book Facing Heartbreak, which is a book for betrayed partners, talks about the gift of desperation. Giving your partner the gift of desperation. The gift of desperation. I talked to 2 people recently who gave their partner the gift of desperation by basically saying, enough is enough. I'm not going to stand for this anymore. I want more for us. And here's exactly what I want. Here's what I want to see. And if you're up for that, great. Let's do it. If not, no problem. Live your life. You're just going to be doing it without me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the exact specifics of that conversation obviously are different for you and for, the exact situation. But as the book says, Facing Heartbreak, for those of you who asked, it could be the most loving gift to give to somebody because it could be what they need to say, you know what, yes, it's time. But how they receive that, it's not for you to decide.
Right.
And to say something like that, to take a stand for somebody else, I promise you it'll be very hard and it could be very healing.
Right.
So the question is, what are you willing to do to continue fighting for this relationship? Or what decision might you need to make to protect yourself?
For sure. Oh,
What's
it's
coming
heavy.
up for you? Yeah, what's coming up for you right now?
I just I just know where I stand, and it's just difficult to really follow through with my words through actions with this because I am coming to him through a place of love and not a place of judgment or, like I'm attacking him in some way. But I feel like that's how he views it.
Yeah. Well, that's shame talking, right? He's gripped by shame. And again, shame
And
festers in the
he's said
darkness.
that multiple times, how
Yeah.
ashamed and embarrassing it is.
Yeah. Great. Well, tell him this. Shame festers in the darkness, but it can't stand being spoken to the light. You got to name the shame. Name the shame to tame the shame. The path out of shame is to speak it to the light.
Absolutely.
Again, for my regulars here, when I ask the question, who else in his life knows about this? They all probably could have predicted what your answer was going to be. No one. It's like what it always is.
Yeah.
But again, he might not be up for that journey. And I'm not talking to him, I'm talking to you.
So if I were to, moving forward, bring up the topic of sharing this with someone other than me, how could I go about that?
Well, one way is you can be like, hey, I talked to this random dude on the internet, and he does a call with people for $1 where he'll talk to you about your porn issues for 30 minutes. He can book a private call with me, and I'd be happy to chat with him.
Okay.
He can, talk to a therapist, a counselor. If he's a person of faith, maybe there's a pastor or church leader he can talk to. Anybody. Go talk to a wall. Maybe not literally, because that's not a person. But it may not be your role. It probably isn't your role to walk this through with him fully, like the healing part of
Yeah.
it, right? But there's a fear there. He's afraid of something. So the question is, maybe you could ask him something like this: what are you afraid of? If people knew you watch pornography, or they knew these things going on in your heart, what are you afraid might happen? And it's probably the same thing or similar thing you're worried about, or you're afraid of if you lose him. Afraid of being abandoned, rejected, alone, and it's going to tie back into some sort of childhood trauma.
Right.
He's hanging on to pornography for some reason. And you might be hanging on to the possibility of what this relationship could be if only he were different.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So, I don't know the answer for you. However, I know whatever it is will take a lot of courage.
Mm-hmm.
And the question to ask yourself is, what's the consequence of you not taking a stand for yourself for the sake of love? And whether that's with this partner or a future partner, learning to find and speak your voice is a really good thing.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you speaking to me for a little bit.
Yeah. Thanks for chatting.
You've helped a lot. Thanks.
You got it. Bye-bye. You can do hard things. That's right. Tattoo that one, Cowboy Bunny Beep. Oh, guys, by the way, I'm a coach. I do one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching, both for men dealing with unwanted sexual behavior, as well as women dealing with betrayal trauma. I have groups who meet on Tuesday nights and Wednesday afternoons for the men. And it's a place to heal together in community, because healing doesn't occur until it's witnessed empathetically. Trauma happens in community, trauma heals in community. So do you want to heal? Do you want to heal? You can schedule a private one-on-one call with me, link in my bio, for $1. It's a 30-minute call, and we'll talk about your situation, my groups, and what I have to offer, and if I'm maybe a part of that journey with you. I also have women's groups. I was just talking to one of the women in my group earlier. Isn't it weird that I lead a women's betrayal group? Yeah, it is kind of weird. But ask any of the women in my group and they'll be like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Yeah, that's what Cowboy Bunny Beef. That's the quote that got me into the group. And so many people say that. Healing doesn't occur until it's witnessed empathetically. It's so true. We all want that. We want a space to be seen and known and loved. That's what anybody wants. And those spaces, unfortunately, are becoming increasingly rarer. The women's group meets at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday nights, and it's facilitated by myself and other female contributors. Yes, the groups are led online, Nina. So yes, the women's group are $99 a month, and the men's groups are $199 a month. And again, if you want to schedule a private call to talk about your situation, I totally get it. The link is in my bio. Sacred community. Or as Caitlin said once, our secret women's space, or sacred women's space, plus Austin. I think it's better for a man to speak because he understands the men. Yeah, in my men's groups, the men's groups are led by myself and other male contributors. I don't have other male contributors on as often. But I do. Mel said, husband is addicted and said he doesn't want to work on our marriage. He says he wants divorce. I'm sorry to hear that, Mel. Sorry to hear that. My husband is looking for a group. Well, Payne, is he there? Let's get him on. Let's talk to him. He can schedule a call with me if he wants. I'd love to have him. He's at work. Great. Well, we got room for one more. By the way, a couple books I recommend. One is called Unwanted by Jay Stringer, How Sexual Brokenness Reveals Our Way to Healing. I recommend this both to men and women. Anybody who's got a sexual story, we all do. But particularly I have the men start with this one. And then The Betrayal Bind by Michelle Mays. Michelle Mays wrote The Betrayal Bind. Your jaw will drop when you read that book. All right, I'm going to read this line again because I just found this article. Actually, hold on. Yeah, I'll read this again because I think it's so good. I'll read this part. Porn equals violence to women. Porn is always moving to greater levels of violation and degradation. This is why many men will see an escalation from their first porn exposure to what now arouses them. In the beginning, a swimming suit catalog may have been enough. Been there. But now hardcore imagery is needed in order to achieve the same effect. Been there as well. Pornographers know that we start with a sacred longing for beauty, but that soon gets hijacked by our demand to control beauty, followed by the eventual desire to see beauty itself be degraded beneath us. Porn draws men into experience the warmth of sex and the fire of desire. But once we've witnessed the life-giving power of women, we're confronted with a two-choice dilemma. Live in awe before them or violate them. Researchers analyzed the content of over 300 popular pornography videos and found that men mostly prefer to violate this beauty, as 88.2% of the scenes contained aggressive acts. Dude, that's crazy. That statistic, that's a 15-year-old statistic, and I've heard that same statistic in newer studies as well. That's sad. All right, who's next? Eric White. Hey there, what's going on?
Hey, thank you for having me up.
Yeah, man, thanks for joining. What's going on? Is porn cheating?
I wouldn't say so in certain context.
Okay. Like what context?
I think in the context, for example, you have two people in a relationship, a serious relationship where, maybe even a marriage, where they are open and honest with each other and both, it's not something being done behind closed doors or without the other person's knowledge.
Got it. So we're both partners agree that they're going to use pornography, or differently put, use other people for their sexual pleasure.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, then my question would be
And
why?
or go ahead.
So my question would be why use other people for your sexual pleasure if you're in what one might claim to be a committed monogamous relationship?
There are times that come up in certain aspects of people's lives where that urge may be there, and you may not be with the person who you've committed your life to.
Got it. So there might be times when the urge comes up and the person might not be there. The person who you've committed your life to might not be there. So in that case, you go use another person.
No, you don't use another person. You use another outlet. I don't.
Another
I,
outlet. Got it.
I don't know this other person, so I'm not using. This person is being used within their industry. I'm not going to fight you on that whatsoever.
Got it. So you're making the assertion that you're not, if you were the user in this case, you're not using the person in the porn.
No.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So what are you doing with them? Are you honoring them?
I mean, I'm reacting to something that they have already put together and the company they work for has already put together and put out on the internet.
So you're saying the same thing I'm saying with different words. You're reacting to it. You're using them. You're using the content. You're using what they created. You're using the person, the dignity.
Yeah, I mean, as long
person.
as you're down to qualify the word using the right way and not take it out of context and turn me into this monster that uses people, you know.
Well, your words, not mine.
Okay, so that's why I didn't choose those words, because
Yeah, I mean, look,
I can see how quickly that could get turned
I get
around.
what you're saying, but in simple terms, you're using the person for your sexual pleasure. If it wasn't for that person, you wouldn't get the sexual pleasure.
Yeah, I'd most likely have to work a little bit harder.
Right. So if it was like a blank piece of paper or a video of nothing, it's the person that makes the video. You're using
Right.
the person. Yeah. Yeah. So then, okay, the question is why?
Well, we already established and moved past that,
Oh, got it, because your partner wasn't there.
right?
Got it. Are you married?
Yeah,
Okay. And does your partner know that you use pornography?
she does.
Okay. And she doesn't care?
No, she also uses pornography.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Well, did you hear me read this thing earlier? Porn equals
I
less
did.
sex.
That's a
Yeah.
it's a very interesting take.
Yeah. Should I read it again?
Sure, go ahead.
Porn equals less sex. The more you use porn, the more it adversely affects your sexual life. Research has actually shown that the best way to have less sex and less satisfying sex is to watch porn. The best way to have less sex and less satisfying sex is to watch porn. Porn simultaneously overloads you with sexual stimulation while also teaching you to only consider your own sexual desires. Porn is so appealing, not merely because it is erotic, but also because it lets you create a world where nothing is required of you. Real sex asks you to know and develop your desires, while also learning to study, delight, and call forth the desires of another. Therefore, if you want to limit your sexual potential, porn is the fastest way to do so.
I would certainly imagine there's data to back the truth behind that statement, and it's a powerful statement to make.
Yeah, the research, which I have the study pulled up here. Anna J. Bridges, Department of Psychology from University of Arkansas. It's about 25 pages, and it's got a lot of citations. It's probably 100 citations in here.
Yeah.
Decreased satisfaction.
So I mean, all of that. Let's just skip ahead and say that for the most part, things seem to point to what you just read being true.
Mm-hmm.
To go back to the original question of is it cheating, I still think the answer remains a pretty hard no. You know, I mean, are there a lot of other detrimental things that may come from it, may or may not come from it? You know, that's probably a pretty hard yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would agree. I mean, the way you outlined it, if you and your partner agree that using pornography is not cheating, then I agree. It comes down to the agreement, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm with you there.
But certainly you bring up some interesting points to think about for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me up, and I appreciate you sharing those little nuggets of wisdom. I'm really tired. I'm not trying to sound facetious. I actually
No worries, man.
I am grateful for
Yeah.
getting to hear those two little bits of wisdom, and maybe those will become more applicable in mine and my partner's life as time goes on, and porn will become less applicable.
Hey, W's in the chat for that guy. Thanks for sharing, man. Have a good sleep.
Thanks for having me on, man.
All right. The study, I'm going to read like the first paragraph or two of this study. As an intern at an adult psychiatric hospital, my first client was a woman who had a partner she described as, quote, addicted to pornography. For some time, she had been struggling to change his behavior through cajoling, pleading, threats, and ultimatums, tears, and tantrums. Although at times effective for a little while, she continually found a restocked stash of pornographic materials, despite his promises to stop. Her distress and his inability to hear her distress reached such high levels that she had attempted thus her admission into the hospital and our meeting. Dang! Guys, this is the first paragraph of this study. This thing is 25 pages long. Should I continue? Like and share. Like and share. Whew. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to see if I can put this on my other screen. Oh, that's fun. Okay, paragraph number 2. This is going to be a doozy. I'll bring a guest on here in a minute or so keep waiting. I had studied depression, anxiety, trauma, and psychosis, but I was wholly unprepared for this. Was this a cognitive distortion? Did she just need to, quote, lighten up to stop interpreting his behavior in unhealthy and unhelpful ways and just accept it? Did she have a right to demand that his sexuality be limited to what she found acceptable? Was there such a thing as pornography addiction? Was there something else going on she was unable to talk about directly? Could she actually be that upset over something so normal? Didn't all men look at pictures of naked women and masturbate? As a neophyte clinician, what does neophyte mean? A person who is new to a subject, skill, or belief. As a neophyte clinician and conscientious graduate student, I immediately consulted the professional and scientific literature. I found an array of articles examining how short-term exposure to pornography in a laboratory setting affected male viewers. I found not one single empirical study of pornography use from the romantic partner's perspective, and my research area was born. What books has she written? I have to know her. Hold on. Romantic couples and partner use of sexually explicit material. The mediating role of cognitions for didactic and sexual satisfaction. Dang, oh my gosh, she's written a lot of stuff. Okay. Yeah, I know who that is. Fortunately, in the past decade, research on the interpersonal effects of pornography use has risen considerably. This paper will begin by describing theoretical models that help explain how pornography affects interpersonal relationships, and then review research that helps systematically disentangle the full spectrum of effects that pornography may exert in interpersonal relationships. Although I will be focusing primarily on romantic relationships, these results often extend to parental, work, and peer relationships. Several theories exist for how pornography affects consumers and others. We will look at the limitation, social learning, sexual script, permission-giving beliefs, perception of social norms, and cultural climate models. Okay, let me take a guess. So you got to stay tuned. Got to keep them hanging. Hey there, what's going on?
Hey, I actually was on here a while ago, and this is the first time I've seen you live in a hot minute. So hey,
Yeah, how's it going?
oh,
What did we
pretty
talk about
good.
before?
So I think it was like I had started seeing someone, just kind of dating, and after being single for I think 6 years, because it was about a year ago was the last time I was on here. Um, but
A year
anyway,
ago was the last time you were on here?
yeah, well, pretty close to it. It's about
Oh, wow.
6 or 8 months. Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a minute. But anyway, I kind of just found someone within the past few months, and um, I'm actually really happy and feel pretty confident in our connection being genuine. And he's very emotionally mature, which is great. I haven't been able to successfully find that in any previous relationships I had, so that's always a plus. And he did actually admit to me that at one point in his previous marriage, he was addicted to pornography. But I guess prior to us actually like seriously dating, he had kind of walked away from that, and from what I understood, doesn't have a problem with that anymore. So that's actually been really great and like encouraging a genuine connection, I feel like, between us. And I don't feel like any insecurity or anything in our relationship. We're very open and honest with each other. And I just want to put out there that you can be open and honest with someone and not involve porn in your relationship. It is possible.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible. That's for sure. Well, good. I'm glad that it sounds like you're heading in the right direction with that relationship.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a lot less complicated when you're just up front with each other. And yeah, I'm genuinely really happy. And we've both been sober for a while too, so that's...
How long into dating that person did you have the talk about pornography? Asking for a friend?
Oh, I think about 2 months into talking, it came up. Because I've been married before and he's been married before. We were both with our partners for about 10 years with our ex-husband. And he kind of used porn as an outlet. And he admits that his unhappiness kind of was part of why he became addicted in the first place. He felt disrespected, not satisfied, things like that. And that was his way of trying to get that out. But then kind of came to realize that it was more than just something he did, and that he may have, in fact, had a problem. So he kind of veered away from thinking that that was kind of like a fix to his deeper issues, and he kind of addressed that
Mm-hmm.
for
Good.
himself, like in therapy. So
Yeah, so he realized it was a problem, started seeing a therapist, working on it, and he was able to talk about it relatively early when you guys begun the relationship.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
because I kind of mentioned that my ex kind of did the same thing. It was kind of like an outlet for him. Kind of did it behind my back, just the same kind of circular conversation back and forth. That he was going to stop and not actually committing to doing so, because basically, I mean, no one's going to change unless they want to, man or woman,
Mm-hmm.
and they can only do it for themselves and nobody else. So at the end of the day, you really just have to set a boundary and figure out what you want. And if the person that you're with doesn't fulfill that, then there's something, there's a decision that has to be made there.
Yep, for sure. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for everything you do. I really appreciate it. And it's great to see everybody still here and you still here.
Yep, you got it. We're still here. Take care.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me up. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm still here, people. I'm not going anywhere. I've been a little slower the last couple weeks. I've only been going on Tuesday nights because Tuesday nights I have my groups, so it's really easy to get on. Being on my groups like fuels me. I love being around people. I love being in encouraging spaces. So, but when I get done with my groups at 8:15, I'm like ready to go. So Tuesday nights I'm almost always for sure going to be on. Other than that, I got to create a schedule. I know you guys want one, and I just haven't been doing it. But I'm going to do some during the day lives, and then also probably one or two evening ones. I don't know, but I'm also going to ask people, some of my regulars. I'm going to have a support page, just to support me in what I'm doing, financially and otherwise. Because I don't know, I'm so jazzed up about this, and there's so much other opportunity outside of TikTok. So I'm going to invite you guys to participate in that if you want to. Not the way that Mary told me to do it. I can't do that. Cash App. I can't do that. But I will have something on my website that I'll announce here soon. Also, we're doing an intimacy building workshop this coming Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are wanting for, longing for more intimacy in your relationship, and intimacy is not sex, though sex is part of intimacy. If you're wanting more intimacy, connection in your relationship, something like to be able to see into your partner, into me see. I've created a workshop, we've done this many times, called the Intimacy Workshop. We meet this Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. It costs $149 if you just sign up for it. Or if you're in my group, if you're one of my groups or one of my one-on-one clients, it's free of charge. But if you want to just join this time, go ahead. It's a 2-hour workshop on Saturday, followed by a 1-hour follow-up next Thursday. And so it's a great place to come build intimacy in community. So the link is in my bio for that. How is it not? I don't know. Still trying to figure that out. All right, Jaywood688. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good, thanks. I've talked to you before, haven't I?
Yes, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. What's going on?
I don't know much, man. Just sitting here at my terminal and waiting on the clothes to get dried.
Okay. All
I'm a
right.
truck driver, so.
Okay. You're a truck driver. Do you watch porn?
Well, I think as I discussed last time, I have been addicted to pornography since I was a child. At the age of 7. And a lot of it was because of the fact that I was essayed as a child. So the corn stems from me being SA for multiple
Mm-hmm.
years. Um, you know, and a lot of people don't understand the bad effects that it has
Hey man,
on your
can
life.
you turn off the TV or maybe step into another area or something?
Oh yes. I got you.
Thank you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right.
So a lot of people don't understand, the effects that it has on you mentally and physically. And for the longest time, I couldn't even have relations with a woman because my brain was so wired on. I could only get off on looking at corn.
Mm-hmm.
So when I would try to do things with a woman, and I couldn't do it, well, then it just she's like, "Well, is it me?" And I'm too embarrassed to tell her the truth, because it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
How can you tell someone, no, it's not you, it's me because of such and such?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not
Yep.
easy.
Yep.
And and but now, thankfully, I've gotten it down to the point where I barely watch it anymore. And I'm seeing a therapist, and uh, one thing he asked me was, he said, "Well, when is the time that you watch it?" I said, "Well, a lot of times, man, when I first wake up in the morning, that's when I catch myself looking at it." And he said, "Well, that's normal because that's when a man's testosterone is real high, is early in the mornings." And I said, "Yeah, because when I wake up, my mind frame is I'm wanting to have, sex, and everything. So, but I'm still working on it, trying to, get it out of my life completely.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like an old T-shirt. You try taking it off every time, but it feels so good, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It's
And
so hard to throw away an old T-shirt. Gosh, they're the best with those
it
holes in
is.
them. Yeah, but no, I get it, man. And yeah, so you and I do remember bits of your story that you shared, and thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being vulnerable. That sucks. I'm sorry you went through that. And I'm sure as you've unpacked your story, you've made those connections with pornography use and what happened when you were younger, and you're fighting to get this out of your life for good. So good job. Good job.
Yeah, because I'm 36 years old, man. I don't have kids, and I've been married once, and I'm trying to get myself mentally to a point where I want to settle down, and I do want to have a family,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I don't want corn to be in that place in my life anymore because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that to affect my future relationship with, the woman that I do get with. And I will say this, I was when I was about 26, my first fiance that I was engaged with, I we were together for about a year, okay, and the whole year, the whole time, she knew that I had issues. I came, I was open with her about it, and she didn't judge me at all. And and that helped me in a lot of ways. And you know, I was so in love with her that I had no desires to even look at it because she was everything that I desired in a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because I truly loved her, and because every day you know, we were making love, even though it was hard sometimes. But eventually, I found I found it to where I was able to start making love because I had quit watching it. So it was like my brain was starting to kind of like rewire itself. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
And but one thing I just want to say for you guys, you know, if you think that it's not a problem, you're just lying to yourself. You're just trying to cover up because it is a problem, especially, I hate to see when young kids get exposed to it because they get a false sense of what it's not. It's not love. There's nothing about it. It's not love. It's fake. It's demeaning. It gets a false sense of what love is supposed to be, and that's not it.
Yeah.
And if you look at corn nowadays, look at how dark it's gotten.
False intimacy, also known as pseudo intimacy, refers to relationships or interactions that create a superficial sense of closeness or connection without the genuine depth and vulnerability that characterize true intimacy. It's often used to fill a void of unmet needs or desires for real connection and can manifest in various ways, including excessive texting, premature sharing of personal details, viewing pornography, or using sexual attraction as a substitute for genuine intimacy. Thanks for sharing, man. Keep up the good work.
Sir, always.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Like,
Yes, sir. Hey there, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? Thank you. I was waiting a while. Appreciate you bringing me up.
Yeah, Trevor the Oso.
Yeah, so this might shock a lot of people, but there are different dynamics to different relationships, and I totally understand that for a lot of people, corn can be considered cheating. Um, I think cheating is set, the standards for what is and is not cheating is set by a couple. Like, for example, one couple might think if you text your ex, like that's cheating. But if another couple might say, hey, like I'm not insecure about that. Like I don't think you have any feelings for them. It's fine. Like there are different definitions for this. Now, any of my partners, they wouldn't have to sneak off to watch corn, and I wouldn't feel like it's cheating if they did or if they didn't. But I understand for you or other people that it could feel like that. I just don't quite get why.
Okay, you don't quite get why somebody might feel like it is cheating.
Yeah, like
Got it. Okay.
I've never
Have
felt
I
that
have
way
I
with
talked to you
anyone.
before, by the way?
Once maybe a few months back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I thought your name was familiar. I don't talk to a lot of osos. That's bear in Spanish, people. Oso.
See,
Sí, it is. All right, so you don't understand why somebody would think that if you're in a committed monogamous relationship and you're masturbating while watching strangers have sex, you don't understand why that would raise an eyebrow for some people.
well, if you had a conversation about it beforehand and said, "Hey, this is where I'm drawing the hard line," sure, I totally get that. But if it's not been discussed and you're dating somebody, like I don't know, like I wouldn't be
All right,
mad
so look,
about it.
let's do this. Why don't you stress
Would you be
test the
jealous?
theory? Why don't
Would you be
why don't you
jealous? Is that why?
why don't you try to argue it from the opposite of your point of view and just see how you do with that?
Okay, so
So
pretend like I'm upset that my partner watched corn.
pretend that you're in a committed monogamous relationship with one other person and you found that the other person was masturbating while watching somebody have sex. Why might somebody
Okay.
be caught off guard by that?
I wouldn't be. I'd say, well, hey, like you don't have to do that. We can
No,
do
I'm
stuff,
saying
but if you hey,
can
that
you
gets you
argue
rocked
from the
off,
other
go
could
ahead.
you argue from the other side? Like put yourself in that person's shoes.
Oh, no, I wouldn't
Okay,
be
so
upset.
you can't even fathom it. Okay. Not even as a thought experiment, you can't even do like a fake argument. Okay, no problem.
What am
Are
I
you
supposed to do? Like,
are you in a
oh, you
relationship?
betrayed me. I'm poly.
You're poly. Okay.
Yeah.
So how many partners do you have?
Let's say like multiple.
What does that mean?
Like pick a number. Like I don't reveal
472.
that. I don't reveal that info on TikTok. Let's say 4.
Okay. You don't reveal that on TikTok. All right. Got it. All right. So 4. You have 4 partners at the same time?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Do they all know about each other and like that you're in multiple
Of
relationships
course.
at multiple time? Okay.
Of course, if it's an ethical, non-monogamous relationship, of course.
Got it. Do you have children?
Sure, yeah. I have a son, let's say.
Okay. Well, I don't care if you're telling the truth or you're making it up, but just for the sake of conversation.
I'm making this up for the sake of conversation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No, that's fine. I just want to know. So basically, I'm not going to take anything you say as like actual reality for you.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Let's say I have a son.
Okay, but then it's so hard to have a conversation. All right. Let's say you have a son.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Chat, help me out. Well, here's the thing, man. If you're polyamorous, then I mean anything goes. Anything goes.
There are boundaries. It's not everything goes.
Well, anything goes that you decide. Yeah. I mean, and I would agree with you, like I've said before and multiple times. If you agree that you're not monogamous, then pornography wouldn't be cheating.
Unless there's a conversation like, hey, I wouldn't want you watching porn like behind my back. Like you could do it without hiding it. And like if I were to catch you doing that behind my back, it would feel like you broke my trust. I wouldn't call it cheating. I'd say if you had an agreement like that and then somebody went behind your back and did it, that would be a violation of my trust. But I wouldn't go so far as to call it cheating.
Got it. So what is cheating?
When somebody if they like physically, objectively did an act with somebody else, like behind my back. So like if they hid the fact that they kissed another person, or like, and like it wasn't like their son or something they're kissing goodbye or whatever. Like, they were hanging out with some person and found them attractive and they kissed. Like I'd be like, okay, well that's cheating. Like you can't do that. Or if they went all the way or whatever.
Okay. So in the hypothetical 4 partners, if one of the 4 partners went outside of that, you would say that's cheating?
Without consulting the polycule first, yeah. If they said, hey, I'm
Polycule.
interested in this person, yeah.
Cowboy Bunny Beef, with the whole man or bear argument, I'm not choosing the bear in this situation. That's funny. By the way, I heard a great argument for the man versus bear, the man versus bear dilemma. And I want your guys' thoughts on this is because a lot of women say they would choose bear. A lot of women say they would choose the bear. So for you women, this is a fun thought experiment. Don't hold me to this. For you women who say you would choose bear, actually, who chooses bear in the man versus bear argument? If you would be left alone in the wilderness, would you rather be left alone with a man or a bear? Man or bear? Which one?
Depends on what kind of bear.
So they're saying bear always. They're both the same. I would choose a bear. I live in Alaska. Bear. So there's way more bears. Hypothetical, Trina. Hypothetical, I choose bear, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared of hell of bears. All right. If that were true, and if this represents the population, I'm calling cap, because go to any zoo in the world. Women are not trying to dive into the bear exhibit. They're staying out with the men. If it were true, they would be jumping into the bear exhibit. I've never seen a woman do that. Have you guys? Think about that. What do you make of that?
Do you know why a lot of women choose the bear?
Why is that?
If they survived, if they got mauled by a bear and they survived, and we're telling people after, mainly 2 things from what I've observed. One, people wouldn't victim blame them and say, well, what were you doing walking in the woods? And number 2, they would believe that person and they wouldn't question their story. They'd say, oh, obviously you got mauled by a bear. If the man raped or essayed the woman, people would say, well, what were you doing to X, Y, and Z? And they wouldn't believe the woman in that scenario. So I get why they picked the bear.
Yeah. So I get it. takes away from the spirit of the analogy a little bit, but I thought that was a funny analogy. Man versus bear, man, I don't know. It's such a good question. It's such a good question.
Yeah. So it was
So
100 men versus one gorilla, but I think Steve Irwin's kid really flipped that upside down when
yeah,
with his whole thing.
what did he
I don't know
do?
if you saw this video.
Well,
He's like, well,
we're getting off point. That's fine.
yeah,
I
I
think
know.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
people are done with this
I'm
bear.
so
So
sorry.
thanks for chatting, man.
Yep.
All right,
Corner's not cheating. Have a good night, man.
all right. See ya. Oh. All right. Who's next? That's all right. You derailed at Cowboy Bunny Beat, but we'll bring it right back on. Hey there, what's going on? Hello. I think we might get a snorer tonight because there's 11 people in the queue. We're hanging with each guest for a long time. This is a recipe for a snorer. Lindell, hey there, how's it going?
Hi, it's Lyndall.
Lindell, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Is porn cheating?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay, why is that?
I think pornography, sorry, is very much acting. I think if you watch a movie and you see something cute or hot in the movie and you're excited by that, I don't think that's cheating. I think it extends to pornography. And I think
You think pornography is acting?
a lot of it is.
Got it. In
That's not
pornography,
real.
in pornography, it's not real. So do people actually get in pornography?
It bleeped whatever you said, but I don't think they enjoy most of what they're doing. I don't think people really like what they're doing in porn. I think they're getting paid to do things that they think will appeal to others.
Yeah, but they're still doing it. It's not acting.
Okay, I kiss somebody in a movie, it's not acting. I'm married. What?
Yeah, but pornography is different than a typical movie.
How?
Pornography is imagery, usually depicting an organ or multiple organs, with the erotic intent to arouse. There was a Supreme Court case in the 60s that decided this, the distinction between pornography and art.
We're going
Pornography
back to
is
the
not art.
60s?
Yes, when the Supreme Court case had one of their first decisions involving pornography.
Okay. The Supreme Court just recently overruled Roe versus Wade. Are we good with that too?
I'm not talking about that topic. I'm talking about pornography.
I'm aware, but I can see your bias, and I think you're very sweet. I like the topics you bring up. I think you've had some really good points. I think you're being a little bit hypocritical here.
You think I'm being hypocritical? Okay, so I'm making the assertion, I'm defining pornography for you. Pornography is imagery, usually depicting an organ or multiple organs of a person with the erotic intent to arouse. The last part of that is what makes or break it, with the erotic intent to arouse. So I'm making the assertion that pornography is different than art. A
I
kissing
don't
scene in a
think.
movie
Oh,
is not
you haven't been
pornography.
aroused by art, my dude?
No, not
Really?
erotically. Not erotically.
Really? Wow, we're very different.
Okay. How would you define pornography?
I would define pornography as something that is intended to elicit a reaction in somebody else. I don't think that reaction necessarily needs to be sexual.
Okay, so something that elicits a reaction in something else. Is that what you said?
No, I think it's eliciting a reaction in people specifically.
Okay, eliciting a reaction in people. So your definition of pornography is something that elicits a reaction in people.
It's very extreme. I agree. I don't think it's healthy necessarily. But I
So,
don't think
so
it's
look,
cheating.
if you open a trash can and you smell it and it smells like shit and it elicits a reaction, is that pornography?
Ooh, okay, if A is B, B does not equal A. That's not how that works.
What?
Think about that. If you enjoy one food that has 6 ingredients, but you don't enjoy it that when it has 7, that's not the same thing.
A and B and C and 6 and 7? I'm sorry, I'm confused. Could you, what's the definition of pornography in your orientation?
I think it's acting. I think it's to gather money from something that you know how to do. I
That's
think
not
that
a definition.
consumers,
That's not a definition.
I'm not going to be able to give you a definition right now,
Okay,
dude.
so here's the thing. If we can't define terms, we can't have a conversation.
Okay, give me your definition.
I already have twice, and I'm happy to do it again.
Thank
Imagery
you.
usually depicting an organ or multiple organs of a person with the erotic intent to arouse.
Okay, that's fair. I don't think that's cheating. Depiction is not cheating.
Okay. So, well, okay, are you in a relationship?
Yes,
Okay. With a man?
that's none of your business.
Okay. Well, never assume. So, with a person? Is that
Yes.
fair to assume? Okay. One person or multiple?
One.
One. Okay. So, you're in a relationship with another person. What agreements do you have in that relationship when it comes to sexuality?
We are monogamous.
You're monogamous. Got it. Okay. Do you watch pornography?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay.
They
How
also
does
do.
that? They also do. Okay. How does that fit into your definition of monogamy? Well, what is monogamy? You said you're
Monogamy
monogamous.
is not
What does it mean?
engaging with another physical human being that you have a physical connection with.
Okay. So monogamy to you is not physically engaging with another human being. Did I freeze? Why do you guys keep saying it's frozen? What froze? Is it actually frozen?
It's okay, they just think I'm annoying.
Well, we're way beyond that, but it's not frozen anymore. Okay. All right. So monogamy to you is where it stays physical. So when does cheating become cheating?
Cheating becomes cheating when there is a emotional or a physical connection.
When there's an emotional or physical connection, but your definition of monogamy only focused on the physical. So is it possible
And
to
emotional.
be That's not what you said. Are you changing it?
No. Emotional and physical connection.
That's not what you said when I asked you to define monogamy.
Monogamy is if you have one person that you love emotionally and physically. If you are exchanging emotional or physical connection, and by emotional I mean romantically emotional.
Okay.
Outside of that, without consent.
Okay, got it. So consent being the kick. Am I frozen again? Hold on. I need to pull this up on my other phone. Trina, has it frozen at all for you? I want to know if it's just some people or all people. Okay, now I got it on my phone. Okay, so your agreement is that you're monogamous, and that would be emotional and physical.
Yes.
Okay, got it. So then the question is why? Why do you turn to other people for sexual pleasure? If you're
I
in a
don't turn
monogamous
to other
relationship?
people, I turn to depictions.
You turn to depictions. What does that mean?
I mean that people who engage in pornography are acting most of the time. And if they're not, I really don't want to see it.
Okay. So where do you watch your porn?
I haven't in a while, but when I was younger, like Pornhub.
Okay. Are you aware that it was studied, and on the homepage of Pornhub, only the homepage, 1 in 8 videos on the homepage depicted acts of people unconsensually having sex or underage people having sex. It's not a depiction. Yeah, and she's gone. Was I really freezing? Was I freezing? I don't know if it was just me. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on. Guys, we're back. It's been a week, but we're back. We are back. We are back. Okay, I'm going to read again from this article, and then I'll come back to a guest. All right. Several theories exist for how pornography affects consumers and others. We will look at the limitations, social learning, sexual script, permission-giving beliefs, perception of social norms, and cultural climate models. The imitation model. The simplest is the imitation model. It theorizes that consumers imitate what they have seen. There is some indirect and qualitative support for such a theory, but it is grossly inadequate. Most users do not commit the abuses they see in pornography. This model ignores the complexities of the relationships between media and individual behavior and suggests that consumers of pornography are uncritical automatons.
Automaton.
Automaton. Did you guys hear that word?
Automaton.
Automaton. A moving mechanical device made in imitation of a human being. This model ignores the complexities of the relationships between media and individual behavior and suggests that consumers of pornography are uncritical automatons. Critics of anti-pornography efforts have repeatedly focused on this model for their attacks, stating that consumers are aware of the difference between fantasy and reality. This has implications for public policy. If this model was the only or even the primary mechanism by which pornography affected users, limiting access or even banning pornography would be clearly indicated. However, the evidence does not support such a simplistic mechanism. The social learning model. A slightly more complex theory, this model posits that people learn through observation, but that only behaviors that are rewarded are likely to be imitated. Thus, if a pornographic depiction shows a man overpowering a woman sexually when she initially refuses such advances, but eventually invites them and derives pleasure from them, a script for what is called grape myth, the viewer learns that overpowering women sexually leads to sexual rewards both for himself and his partner, and he is then more likely to imitate the behavior. Research has continually demonstrated that the combination of sexual arousal and violence results in more misogynist attitudes and behaviors than depictions of violence against women or sexually explicitness alone. However, as with the imitation model, this model is limited in its ability to explain the discrepancy between widespread and common use of pornographic materials and relatively low rates of overt sexual violence. Last paragraph, and I'll bring a guest on. This implication for public policy of the social learning model rests on both individual media consumers and media producers. Individuals such as parents may need to monitor the media they or their children consume to avoid depictions of wedding violence and sexuality. On the other hand, regulatory bodies such as the FCC may seek to ban such media from public sale. In fact, countries such as England and Australia have made it illegal to sell or possess violent pornography. I read that 88% of porn is violent. Is this true? Yeah, I think that actually comes from this study that I'm reading. Oh, no, it's not this one. It's this one in study number 3. I will read the citation. I will read the citation. Aggression and sexual behavior in best-selling pornography videos, a content analysis update. This study is from Anna Bridges, Robert something, and Erica Scharrer. And it found that 88.2% of pornography scenes contain physical aggression, principally spanking. I can't even say all these words. While 48.7% contain verbal aggression. So yes, it's in this study. Okay, let's bring a guest on. Sam, I just saw your comment. I'll bring you up next. Hey there, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Is porn cheating?
You know what? Up until starting to watch your little bit here, I never really thought it was. Um, but I definitely can see how it can be cheating. Um, for myself, I was in my previous relationship. We actually were on Cornhub together, and it was so it was an agreement, but then it was a long distance relationship though. So the
You were on
problem
together
was
like you were creating porn or consuming it?
both.
Okay, got it.
And then we'd go our separate ways. She would go back to her. She was in Colorado. I'm in Illinois, and then a lot of our relationship was through like FaceTime. So we resorted to porn a lot more because it was like, hey, instead of having to risk, you potentially meeting somebody else, I'd rather have you watch porn, right? Or we even went as far as like, here's some toys that maybe you can use to pleasure yourself in between, seeing each other. And I noticed by, almost a year into our relationship that when we were together, I mean, to get her off was like I had to, not to sound crazy, but it's like I had to have all types of things going on, right? And it just wasn't, it started to like, we were trying to almost be like porn stars almost. Like it like totally like drew us in. And I mean, it got out of control. And so, I don't know, it might be a little bit off topic, but relationship before that, she was not about corn at all, and she had seen it on the laptop a couple times, and I had accidentally left it on or whatever it was, and so and she hated it, and I never understood why. This is probably 3-4 years ago, and now I can kind of see it more. You have definitely shed some light on why, not just you seem very educated in this. I've heard your story and where you kind of came from, and so I guess I do think it's cheating at this point. I never thought it was, just because like a lot of these other people are saying, it's just some actors on TV. But at the end of the day, I mean, they're still doing it, right?
Well, you were one of them, right?
Correct.
You were one of those people. When people say like, "Oh, it's not a real person," can you clear the record on that? Are you a real person?
100,000,000%.
Yeah.
And some of the content that we put on there, it was almost shameful. I honestly felt a sense of shame afterwards.
Why is that?
I don't know. I kind of feel like I brought it on to her. I kind of got her involved into it. I don't know if she really wanted to. I don't know. Porn is just, it really could just, ever since she kind of went out of the picture about a year ago, I hasn't even gone on I haven't even checked it out. I don't know why. I just not as interested anymore. But it is an evil thing. Porn is it's as addictive as a drug, right? I mean, or alcohol, I think, right? I mean, it's just one of those things that it's never gotten that serious for me. Like I've heard some other people, like that one gentleman, the truck driver. Like I feel for people like that. But I can tell you that the shit you see on Cornhub is definitely 100% real. It's really happening. I appreciate what you do, man. And there's not enough knowledge people on TikTok giving out good content like this, right? So I appreciate what you do. I guess I don't know why I'm doing all the talking, but
Well, thank you for sharing, and I appreciate that. And I people need to hear your story and stories like yours. Okay? Don't underestimate that. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being vulnerable. It helps other people when you do that.
100%. If I helped anybody in this room, it's great. I really appreciate what you do, and I'll be here.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for sharing, man. And look, I love how you've engaged your beliefs or what you thought your beliefs were and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to question that. And I'm not saying I'm right. However, I think there's a lot more to look at than what the world is telling us about pornography and sex and people and dignifying people.
I appreciate that, CC Queen too as well. This is the first time I think I've ever admitted it to a bunch of people I don't know. But hey, it's a start.
It is.
I'm not in a relationship right now, but I just don't think that it should be involved in a relationship at all, really. If your partner, if you married the one that you want to be with the rest of your life, then stick with that, because I feel like if you go over and you get into corn world, then that's what you expect in your relationship, and it's just not going to happen, right? This isn't The Notebook. I mean, everybody wants a relationship to be like this, a movie, but it's just not. And once you move
Somebody's
off,
snoring there. Is that a dog? What is that?
oh yeah, I got a French bulldog. He's loud as hell.
We got to snore. We got to snore. We're even putting the dogs to sleep.
Oh man, dude, he's not even barely sleeping. He snores.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, thanks for sharing and keep on that path, man.
Absolutely, appreciate everybody too. Everybody
Yeah.
have a good night. Thank you.
All right, man. See ya. The dog's snoring. All right, I gotta go to the bathroom, and then I'll bring you on, Sam. Give me a minute. Hey, it's a beautiful night out. Clear sky. The moon is big and bright, which just made me think, where's everybody tuning in from tonight? I'm in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, where we usually have clear skies. I know that that's not everybody. So where are you guys at? Where are you guys at? Colorado, Indiana, Utah, Chicago, Alabama, Kayla, hey Austin, hello. West Texas, England, Canada, Minnesota, Texas, howdy. Lexington, Kentucky, Missouri, Vancouver, Canada, Florida, Tucson, Indiana, UK. Hello from Tucson, fellow Arizona friend. Michigan, Washington, Atlanta, Wisconsin, Seattle, Tennessee, Vegas, Australia, SoCal, Colorado, Rhode Island, Washington, ATL, Rhode Island. Oh, gosh. Angel, nope. Oregon, Kentucky, Tucson, Texas, Rock Island, Southern CA, Alaska, Southern Ohio, British Columbia, Florida, Lexington, Kentucky, Broken Hartsville. Oh gosh, summer. Wow. Wow. I'm sorry. England, New York, pouring cats and dogs, Vegas, blah, 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 blah. Okay, a lot of people. Well, clear skies here. Clear skies here. All right. Who's next? Who is next? Sam. Where's Sam? There you are.
Hello.
Hey there. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Is porn cheating?
Yes. And my story is a little bit complicated. I've been sitting here for a little while trying to get in. I, I am pretty exhausted because I run a dance studio and was dancing for 5 hours, but
Okay.
um, I wanted to just. There's a lot of people in the comments, and a lot of people have stories. Actually, Chloe in particular, her story broke my heart because I know how difficult it can be to power through. Now, before I get into this, I want to say my husband is not a bad person. He's, in all other aspects, a really good person. So, what I'm going to share, people are going to think, wow, what a monster. And I agree. And I'm working through the hurt of it all. But before anyone judges, just listen. We met just over 10 years ago. It's kind of a whirlwind romance. We got married within a year and a half of being together. I did not know he was a porn addict at the time. He kept that from me. And about 6 months after we were married, I discovered the reason why he wasn't sexual with me. And like, not to toot my own horn, but like, I am a dancer. I'm a very attractive person. And I was raised by swingers.
Can I ask you to clarify? When you say dancer, what do you mean?
No, like a professional dancer. I run a dance studio, jazz, tap, lyrical, hip hop,
Got it.
that kind of
Okay,
thing.
thank you. I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was raised by a very open set of living, and I knew that they always had like boundaries, and there were certain things that were talked about and things that were accepted and weren't. But porn was one of those things that I was raised to think was totally fine, totally natural. It didn't change until I came face to face with what addiction can be. And it took a toll on my marriage so hard that like I'm shaking thinking about it, because when I found out, when I discovered that he was addicted, I had no idea before this. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, this makes sense. This is why he doesn't want to have intimacy with me. He doesn't want to have that kind of connection with me. But we would go long periods of time without, even though I would try. And it actually got to the point where, you know, like after we had our first son, which was a couple of years after we were married, I stood in the doorway trying to get his attention. I had put on full lingerie. I had placed candles and everything, and I couldn't understand why after that evening, the next night, he chose the girls over me on a screen. And then he would say things like, when I questioned him about it, he would say things like, it's more convenient. And at the time, I had no idea the way that porn can rewire somebody's brain. It can rewire their pleasure center, everything. And I took it really, really hard. And I fought and I fought. We've been together for just over 10 years. And for 8 years of that time, he lied. And not little lies, like big lies. Like when we first got together, I was into like, let's watch it together. You know, like again, I was raised by a very open set of people and didn't think anything was wrong with that. And I think I allowed it. I I allowed him to think it was okay because I didn't see how bad and how dark it can get. And when I finally had problems, I set that boundary. That was about 3 years into our relationship. I set that boundary and I said, no, no, no more. You can't do this anymore. And that was when I realized how deep it went, where he was telling me that I'm crazy for thinking he's doing it. Even though I could tell by the lack of intimacy, the lack of connection that he was. He swore on our newborn son's life at one point. He swore on his father's grave shortly after he passed away. He told me I was crazy, that I needed help, I needed therapy, to which I actually sought out and then realized I wasn't crazy. My parents paid for him to go through counseling, and he actually lied to the counselor multiple times because eventually I saw her, and his argument, his generalization of what was happening wasn't even remotely true. And what you said earlier about the shame, how many people know? So my parents knew, but I think he found solace in the fact that my parents were swingers and that they were so overly understanding. And my mom always pushed me, like, stay with him. Because honestly, he is a good man. Overall, he is a good man, but he had these problems. And it got to the point where it was 8 years of his addiction. We have stayed together, but 8 years, he lied to me. He deceived me. He turned from just watching porn to actually watching local girls that lived less than a kilometer from where me and his children lived. It got so bad that when I was in labor with our second child, because we have 3 now, when I was in labor with our second child, he left me in the hospital to go home and watch girls. And I found out after the fact. It was excruciatingly painful. And I tried to leave, and I did leave, and I kept coming back because it doesn't define the person. It is an addiction like anything else. It really is an addiction. I don't excuse his lies and his behavior and what he did, but I knew deep down he wasn't trying to be that hurtful of a person. He just really didn't see it. And it wasn't until 2 years ago, when we were building the farm with his mother, and I sat her down and I said, this is what's been happening. And it took that level of shame, that little extra push where it's like, now I'm not hiding your secrets. I'm not going to protect you from the truth. Now you have to be accountable for your actions. And that sense of shame that he felt from that stopped him. And now he's been 2 years clean. But for anyone going through that right now, real time, know that it doesn't happen overnight. And it's a very long and a very hard and painful road, one of which I'm still trying to recover from. I want to message you and go to like betrayal recovery sessions because I still haven't recovered. But that is the depth in which this can be so detrimental to a relationship. And even once those boundaries are established and those lines are there and you can't cross them, they're still crossed, and you still somehow find a way to excuse it in your mind, and you want to work through all the pain. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. I'm sitting here right now, my husband works out of town Sunday through Friday. I don't know really what he's doing.
Yeah.
I just trust that we've come to this point. And he does say to me all the time, I'm ashamed of how I've treated you. I'm ashamed of how I've lied to you, the hurt that I've caused you, because it did escalate. Like the more that he was confronted about it, that's when like the addiction side of it really showed its true colors, because he went to great lengths to betray me.
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing. I see your pain. I hear your pain, in the story and how you're sharing the story. And you've been carrying this for a long time. And unfortunately, you're right. It takes a long time to move through this. It's really as a lifetime reorienting yourself to how you're going to view this relationship, how you view all relationships, and how you relate to yourself.
Yeah.
So I just want to honor that, the work that you put in, and just great job getting to this point. I mean, it really does take strength and resilience.
I do still cry, and I still have my moments, like, and he would attest to that. Like, I have my moments where he may not be doing anything wrong, but I can't bring myself to trust him. I can't get past things, because there were times where we were having really great date nights and we were sexual, and we would like slow dance in the living room and everything, and I'd look him in his eyes and be like, I need you to tell me this isn't a problem anymore. And he would say, I swear on our children's lives. I swear on our marriage. I swear on everything. And I would find out a month or two later that he had lied. And I still, now, like, we have 3 kids and we both run our own companies, and like life is busy, but I struggle not to get upset and not cry, because it's very painful. I do love him, and he is a good person. If you were to meet him tomorrow, you wouldn't think anything of it. It doesn't define who you are as a person. It's an addiction like anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But the level in which somebody who is addicted to porn, the level in which they will lie and they will hide things is kind of crazy. Like, I never thought in a million years I would feel about porn the way I do now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What do you think is most, when you talk about rebuilding trust, you mentioned trust a lot. What do you think is the hardest thing in you preventing you from trusting him?
It's because the moments that I trusted him, when I let my guard down and he, would look me in my eyes like, you have nothing to worry about. I'm telling you, I've stopped. And this was, it started 4 years into our relationship. So 6 years ago, where it was really like, I swear I'm not doing it anymore. It was those moments that I look back on and I'm like, how can you look at somebody you love and in a healthy environment, when we're having a date night and we're being intimate and we're being open, and how can you look at someone and lie to them that way? That level of lying is really hard for me to move past, just because that just breaks down every foundation of trust. The boundary was crossed and you couldn't even come clean and tell me, right? It was kind of cowardly in a way. So now when I ask him these questions, and I do think he's telling me the truth, I do think that he has stopped. I can tell by the increase in being intimate, how much more dedicated he is to it, how much more selfless he is. Like, I see the little things. I do believe that he's not anymore, but at the same time, after 8 years, right, of being lied to my face, it's very hard for me not to like second guess that, especially when he's away. I rethink of all the conversations and I go, well, he's lied to you before. What makes you think he's not lying?
Yeah, and that's so hard too, especially him being away. With what you've gone through. So tonight in my women's group, I kind of framed the conversation around trust, and that I like to always have a question that we use for our discussion. The question tonight was, what parts of yourself are you protecting by not trusting, which is totally valid, by the way, and what would it look like to honor those parts that are protecting you while creating space for healing? I'm not asking you to answer that right now. However,
that's a good question.
Yeah, you're in a very normal conversation with this. And I use this phrase tonight, withholding trust isn't stubborn or punishing. It's a self-protective mechanism that your body is using to keep you safe. We all want to be safe.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if we don't trust in relationship, we prevent more intimacy and connection. So
and where I 100% agree. I think the problem I had was that like 4 years ago, when we moved up to the farm and I moved in with his mother to build a farm. I thought, and I said to him, I said, if I'm going to do this, if we're going to enter this with 2 kids, this is a lot of work. I need to know now, what am I up against? Because for a long time, it took a hit on my self-esteem. And that's the part that I'm really protecting, because I became someone who didn't like looking in the mirror because I felt like I wasn't good enough. I just wasn't enough, no matter how much I did. And I think when we moved up there and I had this foundation of, okay, we can trust each other, we're being open, we have dialogue, and I found out that wasn't the case, and he was still doing things behind my back, that was a breaking point for me. And I'm trying to find that trust again, and I'm trying to allow myself to be open again. But I also don't want to lose myself again in the process.
Yeah. So here's the word that you're going right down this path, is healing may require some calibrated vulnerability when it comes to trust. To trust is to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's risky to trust. It's risky to be intimate because we're opening up ourselves the possibility of being hurt.
Yeah.
And so calibrated vulnerability, you got to be smart about it, for lack of a better word. And trust is a choice. So choosing to trust and also giving the evidence that you have.
Yeah.
I shared an example earlier, a couple that I'm working with, they went on a vacation, and this is about 6 to 10 months post D-Day. They went on vacation, and as soon as D-Day happened, he got rid of all social media apps, which is probably advisable, especially in the early stages. But on this vacation, again, 6 to 10 months after, they came to the decision, okay, we are comfortable reintroducing social media apps, particularly TikTok, because as a passion of his, he loves cooking. He's a chef. And there's creators on there who he likes watching cooking content. So the decision was made, okay, she had or chose to trust him. Okay, I'm going to trust you with that. Right? And they put certain accountability measures in place, that it wouldn't go out of whack. But he's like, no, this is just an expression of something that makes him him. Or as Michelle Mays calls it in the book, The Betrayal Bind, by the way, eliminating the doghouse. Eliminating the doghouse, which is when the betrayed partner tries to strip away things, rightfully so, as an act of protection. However, that's not a way to live. So man, Sam, you're in the thick of it. You're in the thick of it.
I'm not proud of it, but I did go to the extent where it was 5 years ago now, I want to say, I actually, in the thick of knowing he was an addict, and I mean he would go to work and pull over and go on Telegram and find these girls local and watch them while he's at work, just pull over and take time out of his day. And that was really hard for me when I found out, but I got to the point where it was like, okay, I'm going to meet you at your level. I bought a video just for him and I, and it has 6 different segments. And it's we only watched this together. It was a way of rewiring it so that pleasure center was connected with me, not a screen, but physical touch. And that backfired on me a couple of times, one of which was my grandmother's funeral. I went to her funeral and I came home and found that was what he spent his day doing. And it was humbling. And even now, I still have that video and I still allow us to watch it from time to time. And again, I don't think that he's been doing it in the past couple of years, but I don't know for sure. But I did try to meet that level. And in some ways, I'm ashamed of that just because I shouldn't have given that. I don't know. I can't find the word.
No, I got you. I mean, you're second guessing yourself. You're trying to do the best that you could, or at least that you knew how, to try to help, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a little bit of porn is still porn, and it's still getting further away from true intimacy.
Yeah.
I understand what you're trying to do there is wean him off of it, so to speak.
Well, and try to reconnect it where it's it's not something he does on his own. It's something that we do together, and there's still that physical intimacy. There's still that connection with another human being, and I
Yeah.
thought I was helping myself in the beginning and I was easing him off of it. Yes, that did backfire on me really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. You learned. But, well, man, I'm sorry. Sam, I'm sorry you're in that situation. And again, like I mentioned, I have groups, betrayal groups for women on Tuesday nights. If you want to chat more, I'd be happy to. If you want to use the link in my bio.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me up. I do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. The book somebody asked is called The Betrayal Bind by Michelle Mays. Recommend that one, as well as Unwanted by Jay Stringer. I'm going to go to bed. It's been 2 hours. It's 11 o'clock. I can't do this whole midnight 1 a.m. thing anymore, guys. That's a boundary I'm going to make. It's so hard, especially like 5 nights in a row of that, like I used to do. So we're gonna come out with a schedule soon. Soon. Look, your life is too important to spend trying to get somebody else to stop masturbating while watching strangers have sex. Your life is also too important to masturbate away watching strangers have sex. I've never met a man. That's not true. I talked to a lot of men who have this opinion on here, but I don't know that they're really being honest. Who delights in the fact that he is not connected to a partner. They might say it, but I think deep down inside, there's a longing there. There's a longing there for more connection. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection with other people. And behind every man who watches pornography, there's a story that's dying to be told. A story about love, comfort, care, connection that probably got jacked up at some point in their childhood. And they found pornography as a soothing place for them. It provided something to them. Pornography is a tool. It is a teacher. Not a very good one, in my opinion. And what if the unwanted sexual behavior is a pathway into healing? And if you've been betrayed, what would it take for you to stand up for yourself, to use your voice, to find your voice and use it in a way that's going to bring you closer to those who you love in authentic relationship, authentic community? The goal is not to stop watching porn. The goal is to start living a more full, flourishing life. So if you're interested in coaching, a coaching group either for women who are dealing with betrayal trauma or men dealing with unwanted sexual behavior, consider going to the link in my bio. Oh, I forgot. I have an announcement to make. Just hang tight. Go to link in my bio, schedule a discovery call if you'd like. It's a $1 call for 30 minutes, private call. We'll talk about your situation and if I may be able to help. And I'll likely talk about my one-on-one coaching or my coaching groups that do cost money, because I believe when people aren't committed, they aren't committed. And they have to be committed. And money is one way of showing commitment. So you can go to link in my bio and schedule a call if you are sick and tired of the porn in your life, or if you're sick and tired of your partner's porn in your life and you want to talk about how to increase your experience of your relationships, you can do that. We are also hosting a mastermind. Who is we? We is my friends. My friends. You probably follow some of the other creators. Myself, Eileen and David from Hope Beyond Betrayal. Go sign up for this right now. It's a free mastermind. Myself, Eileen and David from Hope Beyond Betrayal. Jordan, also known as That's Not Love here on TikTok. Caitlin, an Honest Love on TikTok. Mandy from WTF Do I Do Now Coaching. And I am super excited. We're going to have Dr. Trish Lee with us this time. She has a great YouTube channel on masturbation. It's about way more than that, but she talks a lot about masturbation. We're having a free mastermind for the whole weekend, May 23rd, 24th, and 25th. The link is in my bio. Go sign up for it right now, breakingthecorncycle.com. breakingthecorncycle.com. We're kind of broken up into 3 segments. So on Friday evening, the 23rd at 7:30 Eastern will be Dr. Trish talking about how early porn exposure hijacks the brain and sabotages intimacy in relationships. followed by myself May 23rd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I will be talking on unmasking shame, how vulnerability becomes your superpower in recovery. And then Caitlin, An Honest Love, her topic is After the Shatter, how betrayal impacts a woman's body, mind, and nervous system, and the healing power of self-care. The link is in my bio. Go to the link in my bio right now, and it's the third one down. Sign up now for the May 23rd to 25th Mastermind. On Saturday evening, it'll be Eileen from Hope Beyond Betrayal, talking about after D-Day, what should be your next steps to heal. David from Hope Beyond Betrayal will be talking about help her heal, how to help her heal, how showing up in difficult conversations can help you move forward. Jordan will be talking about acknowledging and validating her pain on Sunday evening, and then Mandy from WTF Do I Do Now coaching for women who choose to walk away, healing, identity, and starting over with strength. So we did this in January. We had five or six of us. We did it 6 hours in a row. It was great. A little exhausting, but it was great. So this time we're breaking it up over 3 days. So go to the link in my bio if you want to sign up for that free mastermind on May 23rd to 25th. Any questions? Any questions? Oh, and by the way, give me a follow if you guys don't follow me. I haven't even said that once tonight. Follow button's up there. Will you follow me, please? Follow me. Por favor. Is it possible? But those. Much love to you and your family. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for being here tonight. You can do hard things. Can your man ever change? I don't know. I've never talked to him, Bubs. But yes, people can change. They can. Is there a way you could send me a link on the studies I was reading? No? If you DM me right now, I'll send it to you, SM, because I have it copied to my clipboard. Send me a DM right now, and I'll send you the article that has all the quotes I was talking about tonight, as well as links to the study. And just for you, I will DM you a link back. Is there something I can do to help myself and quit my addiction? Well, it's the right question. Yes, get in community. Who else in your life knows about it? Go talk to somebody about it. Get some help. Read the book Unwanted. Did you DM me yet? Oh, you did. SM. There you go. Look at that. I'm sending you the article. There you go. That article is by Jay Stringer, the author of Unwanted. You can DM me. Yeah, I mean, typically if you DM me, I'm going to chat with you for a little bit and then encourage you to schedule a call, because the amount of DMs I get, people want me to like fix their life over DMs, which first of all, that's not what I do. But second of all, I schedule a call. If you really want to chat and figure out how to move forward, one way is schedule a call with me, a 30-minute call for $1. And I'm likely going to orient you towards getting in community, such as one of my coaching groups. So I probably have openings tomorrow. Yeah, and the next day. Is getting a massage cheating? Some kind of massages, absolutely. All right, great being with y'all. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.